Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Muslim brothers and sisters. Peace be upon you, and welcome back to the mystery of Islam. Today, we're addressing a question that has caused more confusion, more debate, and more misunderstanding than almost any other topic. Are women oppressed in Islam? And what does the Quran actually say about their rights, dignity, and status? In a world full of sensational headlines and cherry-picked verses, Islam is often portrayed as a religion that suppresses women. Many critics claim Islam views women as inferior. But is that the truth? Or have these ideas come from cultural practices, ignorance, and verses taken completely out of context? In this episode, we're going deep into the Quran, the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and the tafsir of classical scholars to uncover the reality of how Islam honors, protects, and uplifts women. The misconception begins with selective reading. People often quote verses from the Quran without understanding the circumstances behind them. For example, they point to verses about inheritance, marriage roles, or modesty and use them to argue that Islam gives men superiority. But when we zoom out and read the entire Quran and Sunnah together, we find a completely different picture. Islam was the first system in Arabia and one of the first in world history to give women legal rights, financial rights, spiritual equality, and personal dignity. Let's break it down. 1. The Quran declares women and men spiritually equal. In Surah Al-Ahzab 33-35, Allah lists believing men and believing women side by side. Indeed, the Muslim men and the Muslim women. The believing men and the believing women. The obedient men and the obedient women. Allah has prepared for them all forgiveness and a great reward. No difference, no hierarchy, complete spiritual equality. The Quran repeats this message in Surah An-Nahl 16:97. Whoever does righteousness, male or female, we will give them a good life. In Islam, a woman's value comes from her righteousness, intellect, and character, not from her gender. 2. Islam gave women rights no society offered 1400 years ago. Before Islam, women in Arabia were treated as property. Many were abused, denied inheritance, and even buried alive as infants. Islam abolished all of this. The Quran forbade female infanticide in powerful words. Surah At-Takwir 81:8-9 says, "And when the girl who was buried alive will be asked for what sin she was killed." This verse shook Arabian society. Islam also granted women the right to inherit, the right to own property independently, the right to choose or reject a marriage, the right to divorce, the right to an education, the right to run businesses, the right to keep their maiden name, the right to financial support from men. These were revolutionary rights, rights Western societies granted many centuries later. 3. The Prophet ﷺ was the greatest champion of women's rights. When the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ arrived in Medina, he uplifted women socially, spiritually, and politically. He said, "The best of you are those who are best to their wives. He said, women are the twin halves of men. And, he said, whoever raises 2 daughters with kindness will be with me in paradise. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not simply talk about respect, he lived it. He consulted women in major decisions. He allowed them to participate in trade, education, and even battlefield support roles. He honored them as scholars. Aisha radiyallahu anha alone narrated over 2,200 hadiths and taught leading Sahaba. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also commanded men, do not harm the women. Fear Allah concerning the women. This was not just spiritual guidance, it was social reform. 4. Marriage in Islam, a bond of mercy, not domination. Critics often mention the verse about men being qawwamun over women, Surah An-Nisa 4:35, and claim it means superiority. But classical tafsir, Ibn Kathir, At-Tabari, Al-Qurtubi, all clarify. Qawwamun means protector, maintainer, and provider, not ruler or dictator. Islam obligates men to financially provide, protect, care for, and support women. And the Quran immediately follows by saying marriage must be based on love and mercy. Surah Ar-Rum 30:21. Islam did not give men privilege, it gave them responsibility. 5. Islam protects women economically. Perhaps the most misunderstood issue is inheritance. In some cases, men receive more, but this is because men are financially responsible for women in Islam. Women are financially responsible for no one. A woman's money is hers alone. A man must pay the dowry, provide for the household, support the children, and maintain any dependent women. So, inheritance is balanced with financial duties, not based on worth or superiority. 6. Islam commanded kindness and justice towards women. The Quran repeatedly instructs men, live with them in kindness. 4:19. This is a command, not a suggestion. The Prophet ﷺ said, the most complete believer is the one who is best in character, and the best of you are those who are best to their women. How can a religion that ties faith to how well you treat women be oppressive? 7. Women in early Islam thrived. History shows Muslim women were scholars like Aisha, Hafsa, and Fatima bint Sa'd. Businesswomen like Khadijat radiyallahu anha. Teachers like Darda. Leaders like Queen Amina of Zazaw and Razia Sultan. Warriors like Nusaybah bint Ka'b. Islam empowered them long before the modern world spoke of women's rights. So, are women oppressed in Islam? No, women are honored, respected, protected, and elevated in Islam. But sometimes certain cultures, families, and governments misuse Islam to justify oppression. Islam did not oppress women. People did. And anything that contradicts the Quran's teachings of justice and mercy is not Islam. The Quran's message is clear. Women and men are equal before Allah. Women have God-given rights that no one can take away. The Prophet ﷺ uplifted women, defended them, and honored them.
Islam commanded justice, mercy, and kindness, not oppression. So, the next time someone says, Islam oppresses women, remember this. It was Islam that gave women rights when the world denied them rights. It was the Prophet who stood up for women when societies silenced them. And it is the Quran that honors women as spiritual equals to men. May Allah make us people of justice, compassion, and understanding. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you learned something new today, don't forget to subscribe to The Mystery of Islam, where we uncover truth with knowledge, not rumor, with clarity